Zigzagoon and Linoone originated in Generation 3, and this is what we might call foreshadowing. We're returning to the Generation 3 challenges next month, and I thought it would be incredibly fun to celebrate the return by bringing in the early normal type from Hoenn and seeing just how well it'll do across the Johto and Kanto regions. For those of you who have been around the channel for a very long time, you may remember this is not our first experience with Linoone. We ran it through Fire Red around about 18 months ago, and it finished a very respectable second place. But we shall have to see if the same things that gave it an advantage in Fire Red will also give it an advantage in Crystal as well. And we shall start, as we always do, by taking a look at the stats of our Zigzagoon. We are level 5 with 20 HP. We are holding a berry and our two moves are Tackle and Growl. In terms of our stats, we've got 9 in attack and defense, 8 in special attack, 9 also in special defense, and 12 in speed. And we'll be rocking these stats all the way up to level 20, we'll have to see if that makes any difference whatsoever. Our first wild encounter was with a level 3 Sentret's, the early normal type of the Johto region, and it's fair to say that Zigzagoon kicked Sentret's butt. We knock it out in 3 hits and we can make our way to the first rival battle. Generally when we run a normal type here on the channel, we're going to give the rival the grass type starter, because it's got the most bulk behind it, especially because we're not running Hidden Power Ice or Hidden Power Bug in this particular challenge. We end up tackling a few times to knock it out, and we survive on 11 HP, and that means we can move on to our first gym together. Our first gym, as always, is Falkner's Flying type gym. He's going to lead with Pidgey. One of the big advantages of having a Zigzagoon is we get headbutts via level up, and this is going to make this battle incredibly easy. It's a couple of shots on the Pidgey and a couple of shots on the Pidgeotto to knock out Falkner's Pokémon, and we obtain the Zephyr badge in a time of 8 minutes and 53 seconds. We've still got headbutt for Bugsy, so we'll have to see if Fury Cutter is powerful enough to take us out. We know for sure that the Metapod is not going to knock us out, and exactly the same with the Kakuna with a critical hit. And here comes the Scyther. Scyther outspeeds and Fury Cutter misses on turn number 2, so it's all over for Bugsy. We grow to level 20, and at level 20 we can say goodbye to Zigzagoon and hello to Linoone. We get a big buff in our base stats, especially to speed, and that means we obtain the Hive badge in 15 minutes and 17 seconds. Let's now move around the corner to the second rival battle. I can't see this being too much of an issue. We've got Mudslap for the Ghastly and we've got Headbutt for everything else, but we'll humour the rival by taking him on anyway. Mudslap's a 2-shot on the Ghastly, and we're going to swap to Headbutts for the Zubat. Headbut's a nice and simple 1-shot on Zubat, and then it's looking like a 2-shot with a flinch against the Bayleaf. A very simple Rival 2 battle, a nice change from some of the Rival 2 battles we've seen in recent times, and we can move our way on to Whitney. She is our third gym leader together, a normal type specialist just like us, but she leads with Clefairy. Clefairy's a 2-shot with Headbutt, and the cow gets a chance to start rolling. It keeps building its rollouts, but it's all too little too late for Whitney as we knock it out with one further headbutt, and we obtain the Plane badge in a time of 20 minutes and 1 second. Linoone is on a really good pace so far, definitely not record breaking, but I really think when we get to level 52 this run will speed up. For now, let's take on the third rival battle in the Burnt Tower, and we have Hidden Power Ground now. That's going to make the Magnemite and the Ghastly lines incredibly easy. We decline the option to learn Fury Swipes because it's quite frankly a terrible move, and we'll move on to the Zubat. It's a 1-shot with Headbutt on the Zubat, 2 shots on the Bayleaf with it flinching yet again to finish off the rival. We'll fall through the floor, and suddenly we find ourselves in Morty's gym. Morty is the dual Ghost and Poison spectacular gym leader of the Johto region, and he's going to lead with Ghastly. Really, the only threat in this battle is going to be the Gengar. If we get sent to sleep by the Gengar, it's pretty much a guaranteed reset. If we don't, we can get through with the greatest of ease. And of course, the 50-50 went against us. We try in vain a couple of times to wake up, but it isn't happening. So we take a reset and we're going to try again. Even with that reset, I think it's still quicker to do Morty now than to have to do the movement to get the Mint Berry. We are more than capable of knocking out Gengar in 2 shots, and that means I didn't think it was worth doing all that extra movement. It paid off on our second attempt, and we get through Morty in a time of 27 minutes and 4 seconds, and now we can cross the open seas to go to Cyanwood City where Chuck is waiting for us. Chuck is our 5th gym leader together. He's a fighting type specialist and he leads with Primeape. We've taught strength so that we can guarantee a 1-shot on the Primeape, and then we're going to go for flinch strats against the Poliwrath. Unfortunately, we don't 2-shot the Poliwrath, but Hypnosis misses this time, so we're able to obtain the Storm badge in a time of 32 minutes and 46 seconds. And after beating up some rocket grunts, we are able to make it into Price's gym. He is our 6th gym leader together. He's an Ice-type specialist who leads with Seal that's already fainted, and Dugong has gone the same way. We're going to continue the headbutting ways on turn 1 against the Swine. We'll finish it off with another headbutt. We'll grow to level 39 and we'll defeat Price in a time of 38 minutes and 38 seconds. I tell you what, I always find those repeating badge times incredibly satisfying. Let's see if we can have a satisfying battle against Jasmine now. She is our penultimate Jotonian gym leader, and she's going to lead with a pair of Magnemites. We've got Hidden Power Ground. I don't need to tell you it's 4 times super effective, and we can focus our attention on Steelix instead. And we have the perfect Steelix battle here. We got her just outside of healing range, so we were able to 3-shot the Steelix, and that's Jasmine's badge in 41 minutes and 3 seconds. Our next destination is underground in the Goldenrod department store, where we're going to take on the rival for the 4th and penultimate time. He leads with a Golbat, and Return is strong enough to knock it out in one shot, so we've got Hidden Power for that pesky Magnemite. We're also going to use Hidden Power on the Haunter as well. We get an unnecessary critical hit there, and we'll swap back to Return for Sneasel Pleasel, and suddenly he's only got 1 Pokemon left. It's that pesky Meganium. Let's see if it can get a hit on us this time, and it cannot. Yet another flinch on the Meganium. It's not hit us in so many battles, and we are through the 4th rival battle, and we can make our way onto Claire's gym. Claire is our final Jotonian gym leader, and she's going to lead with 3 Dragonair. Return is more than capable of one-shotting all 3 of these Dragonair, so the only Pokemon we have to worry about is Kingdra. We're going to go for the strategy where we're avoiding the healing loop here at Claire, so that means we're actually going to use Hidden Power on turn 1. She goes straight for Surf, which is great for us because it means we don't have an accuracy drop. We can finish off the Kingdra in 1 other hit, and that means we obtain Claire's badge in a time of 53 minutes and 38 seconds. Unfortunately, the split didn't quite work there on the overlay, but we'll ignore that and move on to Rival 5. This is our final rival battle, and he's going to lead with Sneasel Pleasel. It's a one-shot on the Sneasel, so he sends out Golbat, and it's exactly the same situation for the Golbat. The 3rd Pokemon is Magneton. We've still got Hidden Power, so it's still a guaranteed one-shot, and it's also going to be a guaranteed one-shot on the Haunter as well. We use Return against the Kadabra to skip the super effective text, and his final Pokemon is Meganium. We take pity on Meganium and let it use a turn this time. It goes for Reflect, but that's the worst play it could have done. We grow to level 52, and at level 52 we get the option to learn Belly Drum. We are absolutely taking this move. It's going to be pivotal for the rest of the challenge, and we'll be seeing that a lot, I'm sure, as we're going through the Pokémon League. For now, though, we'll say thank you to the HM friends, so it's a big thank you to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck, and to Paris. You've all been a great help in the Johto region. Get yourselves some well-deserved rest, while Linoone prepares to take on the Pokémon League. Before we go into the league, we'll take a look at our stats, and we are level 52, and this time we have 166 HP. We're holding the pink bow with Return, Hidden Power Ground, Belly Drum, and Headbutt. And for our stats, we've got 114 in attack, 106 in defense, 89 in special attack, 101 in special defense, and 143 in speed. We have a fairly decent attack. We've also got very high speed. We've got Belly Drum. I think this league is going to be a sweep. We're not going to Belly Drum against Will, though. I don't think that's going to be the quickest way to get through when you factor in healing afterwards as well. Instead, we're going for our B strategy, which is a combination of Headbutt and Return, because if we Headbutt, we have a 30% chance of incapacitating the opponent. We get 2 very lucky critical hits against the Executor and the Slowbro, and suddenly Will only has 1 Pokemon left. It's a one-shot with Return on the Xatu to defeat Will, and we are through him in a time of 58 minutes and 26 seconds. Our second league member is Koga. He's a Poison-type specialist who leads with Ariados. We're going to one-shot the Ariados with Return, and we'll do exactly the same with the Venomoth. And then when the Fortress comes out, this is the time to Belly Drum against Koga. Fortress is going to use Spikes on turn 1 90% of the time, and that means it's a free setup turn for us. It also means Return's a one-shot on the Fortress, it's a one-shot on the Muck, and we don't even need to worry about Crobat's evasion because we outspeed and we hit it with 1 Return, and we finish Koga off in 59 minutes and 1 second. Our third league member is Bruno. He's a fighting-type specialist, and that would be dangerous if it wasn't for this Hitmontop. Hitmontop has no fighting moves, so it's yet again a free setup Pokemon. We'll Belly Drum and then we'll Sweep, because we absolutely do not want to take any risks at all against Bruno. We'll take some guaranteed damage via Hitmonchan's Muck Punch, but that should be the only damage we take in this entire battle. We'll one-shot the Machamp so Cross Chop isn't in play, and we'll guarantee the one-shot on Onix by using Hidden Power. That means Bruno's defeated in a time of 59 minutes and 42 seconds, and we can move on to Karen. And for Karen, we're using the HP up strategy. We've used 2 HP ups, we're also holding a Bitterberry, and it works perfectly. Umbreon goes for Confuse Ray instead of Stand Attack, and that is a guaranteed win for us now. There is nothing that any of Karen's Pokemon can do. We've got a move that's going to hit neutrally on every single Pokemon. They're both physical moves, and that means we don't have to worry. It is incredibly satisfying to get a Karen fight where we don't have to think at all. We get through Karen and defeat the League in 1 hour and 33 seconds, and Linoone is only speeding up. And the only obstacle between us and the Hall of Fame now is Lance the Liar with the Flyers, and he's going to lead with Gyarados. We're both going to set up on turn 1, but our setup is a lot better than his setup. We're belly drumming the same as we have throughout this league, and that means we have 544 in-battle attack. And that means there is nothing on Lance's team that can stop us. We also have higher speed than Red's Pikachu at this moment. That means Aerodactyl stands no chance either. And Linoone does something that's very few Pokemon are able to do. It is 6 simple one-shots to get through Lance, and we defeat him on our first try in a time of 1 hour, 1 minute and 23 seconds. Our final Hall of Fame time is 1 hour, 1 minute and 39 seconds. Linoone is only continuing to accelerate. We'll have to see if it keeps it up in part 2, so don't you dare go anywhere, because Kanto is next. And we rejoin the action here in Vermilion City, where the first thing we do in Kanto is the last thing we do in Johto. We're going to get another rare candy, this time from the chairman of the Pokemon Fan Club. And with that safely tucked away in our bag for another challenge, we can start making our way into our first Kantonian gym together. It's looking like Linoone is going to be more than strong enough to take on the standard Kantonian routing. That means we'll start at Surge, move to Erica, take out Janine via Cycling Road, we'll fly back to Saffron to do Sabrina and Misty, and then we'll finish off with Brock, Blaine and Blue. And now, in the meantime, we're going to be having our standard Kantonian chat together. If you do want to skip ahead to the blue fight, it is starting at 14 minutes and 16 seconds, and I'll see you all there if you do want to skip ahead. For everyone else, let's sit down, gather around and have a little chat, and it's kind of an important one today. Full disclosure, this challenge and voiceover has been recorded on the day that the Venomoth challenge went live. And I think that's important to mention firstly because it means this challenge has been recorded out of sequence, and that means we're going to be using some strategies we don't quite have for some of the challenges we're going to see in the interim period. And also, I just want to address something that I misspoke about in the Venomoth challenge. I mentioned at the very beginning of that video that I didn't like other creators being referenced here on the channel, and that was a case of bad wording. What I meant to say is I don't want other creators' references being used here in the comments section on the channel. I really don't think it's responsible for me as a content creator to encourage people to use other people's references in the comments. Especially because here on YouTube, every comment pushes your video further and further in the algorithm, and that means it would be incredibly disingenuous of me to use another creator's references and things they've spent a long time curating to try and give my content a bit of a leg up. So the intent there with what I said was to try and avoid other people's in-jokes and references being brought up in the comments. And I know personally I'd be incredibly upset and frustrated if I saw another challenge runner use my content and my references in their comments section and in their videos. For instance, if I saw another challenge runner use Lance the Liar with the Flyers, or if I saw another challenge runner give Jasmine her own villain arc with a secret potion, I'd be incredibly miffed because that's something we have naturally curated over the course of the 2 and a bit years we've had here together on the channel. So I really do hope that clears things up just a little bit, and major apologies for not getting the wording right first time. I think the sentiment was good from the very beginning and I'll always stand by that, but the wording absolutely could have been better. And that wasn't the only reason this challenge has been produced. I didn't just create a video to explain myself in one little bit of the Kanto section. I normally stream on Mondays on the day this video went live, but unfortunately it's a public holiday here in my part of the United Kingdom, and that means I'm not going to have the time to be able to stream. So I thought if I'm not able to spend time with you lovely people in real time in the stream, I'll get a little video produced so that we're at least able to spend some time together here on this Monday. And very quickly before we rejoin everybody else in the blue fight, please do let me know if you want to see more pre-recorded videos with backports. They're generally a streaming exclusive thing. I do have a couple of backports planned for special videos later in the year, but I can always add them into the regular cycle as well. But now it is time to rejoin the action as we take on our final Kantonian gym leader. This is Blue, the mixed-type specialist of Viridian City, and he leads with Pidgeot. And that Pidgeot is getting stacked. It's used Mirror Move to copy our belly drum. Fortunately, we outspeed the Pidgeot, so it's not too much of an issue, and now that we have 625 in attack, there's absolutely nothing that Blue can do to stop us. Combine that with our now base 200 in battle speed, and I really think this is just going to be a very, very easy sweep, and this is putting us in incredibly good stead for the red fight. Blue's only got one Pokemon left to go, he doesn't see the KO with extreme speed, so we don't take any unnecessary damage, and we defeat Blue and obtain the Earth Badge in 1 hour, 15 minutes and 16 seconds. And with that, there's only one more battle left in the challenge. It's time for Red, the final battle of the challenge, and he leads with Pikachu. We're going to use Return against Pikachu so that we don't get charmed, and then we know that Espeon has a high chance to go for Reflect. And that means that we are going to go for Belly Drum and we are going to YOLO this thing. We know that we can knock out Espeon even with the Reflect with a Belly Drum boosted return. We're going to use Headbutt on turn 1 against the Snorlax, but it goes for Amnesia. That's absolutely fine because that means that Return will knock it out on turn 2. And we are taking full advantage of Red's Pokemon order here. We know that Venusaur comes out as Pokemon number 4. That means we can two-shot it with Return. Reflect has faded, and now it is all over for Red. The only Pokemon he's got left is Blastoise. 648 attack is more than capable of knocking it out, and we defeat Red in 1 hour, 17 minutes and 14 seconds. Goodness me, we had one unlucky reset the entire challenge, and just for funsies, that would have placed Linoone in second place on our leaderboard as it stands at the moment. Linoone isn't going to be staying there on the leaderboard. It's a one and done for Linoone because it's not a native Generation 2 Pokemon, but I really think that Power Creep started a lot earlier than a lot of people believe. Second place is phenomenal for an early normal type here in Generation 2, but with that, we are done. So I'm going to say thank you all so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you have enjoyed this little special run, then make sure to click the like button. If you want to see more challenges just like this, then click the subscribe button. And until next time, when we're definitely running Pidgeot through Pokemon Crystal, I'll say thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.